It's another edition of Baseball and Beyond, presented by Massa's Restaurant today. Vince Coleman is my guest. I'm excited about this. Vince, how excited are you?
You know, anytime I come back here to St. Louis is always my birth, and so many great memories, fun memories. We can go on and on for hours to tell you.
I was just talking about getting the chance to talk to me. That's what I meant. No, I'm just kidding.
It's always a pleasure to see you. You know, that's why I'm doing the show. I mean, because if it wasn't for the fact that we have a great rapport, a great relationship, the friendships that we have built over the years is outstanding here. So I'm just happy to be back here and just talk to you.
I do love talking to you because I didn't get to know you when you were playing because I was much younger. I was a fan. I was a real big fan then, and you were one of the biggest reasons that you come up in '85. I know we've talked about it a million times, and it's even on the tape that everyone's ever seen, where Dow Maxwell says you come up and say, "Yeah, I'm not going back down." I just think that's an amazing story, and I know we've talked to you before about it, but the fact that when you got to St. Louis, you told them I ain't leaving, and they said no. Willie's going to come back, but just the confidence you had, and to be able to tell a Whitey and a Dal that, and just tell me a little bit about where all that confidence came from, and the fact that you did that.
Well, where I came from has a lot to do with that. I was cut from a baseball team in the ninth grade, and coming out of high school, I thought I was really good, and I wasn't offered a scholarship. So I had to. My mom told me smart guys don't starve, so I wasn't going to stay around the house. So she made me go to college. And when I walked on the football team, I had to walk on there and made the football team. So, and also walk on the baseball team and made that. But that was the mentality coming from a background of playing football all those years. You're hearing all these motivational speeches, no shortcut to success. So hard work was all I ever known, and I've been playing baseball for many, many years. And so when I got drafted by the Cardinals, all I wanted to do was just please my mom and don't embarrass myself. And George Kissel came to me and said, well, if you want to play for Whitey in the big leagues, you got to switch it. And here I am, 24 years old. I want you to comb your hair, brush your teeth, drive your car left-handed, and that'll have drive to your success. And I did that for 2 years in '85. And when I got called up, all the things that I have done since I was in the ninth grade didn't faze me because I've been playing this game of baseball all my life. So being in the major leagues was a motivational thing. So being in the big parks, the lights was brighter, the balls, I could see the balls here, and they was throwing strikes. So all I'd do is play pepper and put it in play. And with that being said, Whitey was my biggest fan. And I remember talking to his wife, Mary Lou, and this is like my second year in the league. She said, Whitey comes home every night, and all he talks about how great a base stealer you are, and that he's your biggest fan. So Whitey and I tell everybody today, if it wasn't for Whitey, here's a kid, learn how to switch it basically in the big leagues. And my own base percentage was never great, but when I got on base, I made it happen because I wasn't afraid. And I kind of motivated Willie McGee, because Willie didn't steal a lot of bases before I got there, and I lived with Willie my first year, and what a wonderful treat that was. To this day, Willie's my best friend, and it was just so fun to be around Ozzie day in and day out. Made you so loose. We had an all-star at every position. You had Jack Clark, Tommy Herr, Willie, Terry. The pitching staff that we had with Joaquin and Tudor and Danny Cox, was so
overlooked a little too that year. He was 18-9, and then we had the 220 game winners. You kind of forget Coxey's great year.
Of course, I mean, so he was like in the background, but it was a team effort. Then you had Tarp World come up that was closing the door, and Ken Daly was such a big, huge part of that. I mean, no one realized how the pitching staff that came together and the guys, the camaraderie that we, Whitey thing was that if you came to the ballpark every day with a good attitude and put forth a good effort, your ability would take care of itself. And that's what we did.
And that's the kind of thing that I think about. I just started thinking about this too, that you really were a game changer. You were, I don't want to make your head big, Vince.
It's big enough. It's all right.
I'm sure Ozzy's out there right now going, well, his head's already big enough. But I just thought about that, though. Like, literally, you made the team go. You'd get on first, you're at second after a pitch. All you needed to do was have Ozzie ground one over to second, and then Jack or Tommy would get a sac fly. But you had a third of the stolen bases of the team. They had 314, you had 110. So to have a third of the stolen bases is crazy. Yeah, I'm just kind of complimenting you, but it is crazy to think because there's not many guys who change a team's look, and that '84 wasn't a great year for that team, but you really did change the look of that team, and they didn't run like that. They ran, but like you said, Willie didn't run, so that's with the running Redbirds, and I just think that's what's so great is that everybody loves that time because of how exciting it was, and we don't see it anymore. That's what I think is the most impressive thing. You'll never see a team like that again. Like you'll see guys hit home runs and you'll see teams pitch, but to do what you guys did, is that, I think, a question.
350 stolen bases.
314 for the team.
Oh, okay.
110 for you. But I think that's the most in the National
Right.
League since the 20s or
Right.
something.
I mean,
so.
I think the more so than anything else, I carried this brash appearance, and when I walked through the locker room, I was loose and had fun, and all the guys could run. It was just for the fact that I was the one that really challenged everybody. Who goes steal the most bases tonight has to buy dinner, a lunch on the road. So that became a inside joke within Ozzie, Willie, Tommy. So and that made us closer. So we got on the road. We always talked about baseball, and now I was blessed by having Don Blasingame in the minor leagues. He taught me how to dissect the pitcher's flaws. Every pitcher had a flaw, tendencies, tips, they timing, tempo. And we had to have the instincts to want to do it when we see it and trust it. So I convinced them that it could be done. Whitey gave us the green light to do it. So you go in the film room and you see that pitchers had flaws. You see it. You identify with it. Even you could get on base. When Jim DeShades came set, Honeycutt, Frank Viola, these guys, left-handers I'm speaking of, that when they came set, they was predetermined already. Your eyes got big. You're like, oh my God, he's going home. He's coming to first. So you knew. So that gave you an extra step already. I like to say that I was an idiot, but I was an idiot with a plan. So whenever I got on second base, I know I'm the pitcher's Satan, meaning that everybody that comes to the big leagues can hit the fastball. The catcher's giving all the cliff notes, right? He's giving the pitcher a sign. We got to be smart enough to tell when he's throwing a breaking ball. Whenever you see film now, watch when I go to third base, it's a breaking ball. So that was my plan. So I had a plan of attack once I got to second base. He's going to be throwing breaking balls. So that was my advantage to go. So with a combination of him, one looking, watching the pitcher's mannerisms, they're a creature of habit. They won't change no matter what. They didn't change for 13 years. I wish I could have got on base a lot more. I'd have broken every stolen base record.
Yeah, and I wish that it seems to me, I'm not in the locker room, I don't watch, but it seems to me like these guys really rely just on the coaches, and they're not really watching as much. I also would wonder what you would do with John Lester if you guys got a chance. I mean, you would just run. I mean, I don't understand why no one just starts running. I don't understand how he just gets away with this. But and then it becomes the other team's head because, like the Dodgers the other night, just got in their head that they were going to mess with him, but never scored, never ran on him.
All right. Well, analytics and the cybermetric numbers now has a big part of the game right now. It really has changed the game. You can throw that for what it's worth. But when a fish stink, it started ahead. So we had head guys, Whitey, saying, we want you to run. We want you to go. These days, the analytics dictates to the general manager relaying to the manager, hey, we got 27 outs. Do we want to risk a guy taking a chance of stealing the base? So now going into this ball game, they had the red light on. They don't have the green light. You can't tell a guy when to run and when not to run if he's a base stealer. There's no base stealers out there today other than, say, Billy Hamilton, and I can teach him a few things or two, clean him up, make him a lot better than he is. So with that being said, we threw caution to the wind. We had a gambler's mentality. Yeah, I feel sorry for John Lester. He could not last with us because we would dominate day in and day. But you know what? To his credit, he doesn't let it faze him.
No.
But
he does.
We watched the game the other night. They get on. They played around with him, but no one go.
They didn't do anything.
And John Smoltz made a good point of it, saying, well, they're not running. What good is it?
Right.
You'll get out there. He's not throwing over. Take off.
Yeah.
Take off.
And the Cardinals did it one time, I think 2 years ago on opening night. when it was Lester's first start, and then no one the Cardinals never do it. I never understand why it doesn't happen. But
well, I mean, but imagine every guy we looked at was a Lester.
Yeah.
You know, so whether they was throwing over or not, it wasn't going to phase us.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of one
Poor
pitcher.
Steve Trout.
It wasn't one pitcher that you could say that we was in fear of. They was in fear of us.
Yeah.
So even if he had a good move, Terry Mulholland, Hershiser had quick feet. Ron Darling is the quickest feet I ever seen that I respected. But he didn't know whether or not I was going because I'm still maintaining the same lead. So now, them to say he's slide stepping, can't get a good jump. Now we put on a button run between Ozzie and I. You know, we got our own signals. So we have a way we can diffuse any type of guy that had good feet movement or that was quick to the plate. It didn't stop our running game. When you have quality players, or good players, and smart players, and savvy players, bright, like the Cardinals had, we would dominate no matter what. So
much more to talk to Vince Coleman about. He's going to actually talk about that firework incident. I've never heard him talk about that. He's going to talk about the tarp, something I couldn't believe he said, actually, when he said it the first time I heard it, so I had to ask him about it again. So we talk about the tarp. And maybe break some news about what he's going to do next. This is good stuff, folks. But now I'm going to tell you about the title sponsor, Massa's Restaurants. It's Massa's, of course. It says it right there, of course. 5 locations in the St. Louis area. You know, I noticed, looking at the stats here, that people are listening in Australia. I saw one from Puerto Rico. I thank Paul Dundee and maybe Yachty or Molina. Anyway, we're going to try to get them some Massa's food that way. They need to have some. It's Italian food, great portions, delicious pasta, St. Louis-style pizza, the Big Al's special, my favorite pizza in all of St. Louis and all the Midwest and all the land. It's St. Louis-style pizza. It's the Big Al's special. I was there the other night, actually, for a gathering, and it was fun. We had a lot of people just gathered around the bar. We ordered some food, had some drinks, enjoyed the bartenders. The waitresses came over. It's a great place for your family. It's a great place for your friends. It's a great place for a date. There's 5 locations in St. Louis. Look it up at massasstl.com, and you can find out where those locations are. You can look at the menu, see all the good offerings they have there. It's Massa's Restaurants, 5 locations in St. Louis. They are the title sponsor of this podcast. Hope you're enjoying this episode. We're going to keep trying to do some more of these throughout the winter here, see how many guests we can get, talk a little more hockey and see what happens. But now, let's get back to Vince Coleman as he, like I said, he'll be talking about fireworks, throwing fireworks at kids. Really? Did he really do that? His time with the Mets, all kinds of stuff. Thanks for listening. Go support Masses. Let's get back to the interview.
We talked about, you named them off. It's Ozzie and Willie and Terry, and they just roll off your tongue. And I talked to Terry earlier this year. I'm going to talk to Ozzie here in a little bit. But Willie, I think people love. We saw you guys do double steals. I'm going to look up how many double steals you guys had. That has to be a record anyway. But the double steal in Chicago is so fun to watch. You break a record that day. But I think the funniest part is when you hear the story about Willie after. He tried to steal 3 bases on one play. Like, everyone stopped watching. Can you kind of describe that day and then how you guys gave Willie so much guff because he's just like, there's no one at home plate?
You have to see it to believe it. I mean, to appreciate it. I mean, because, at that time, it was a right-hander, Scott Sanderson, and, whether it was a record or not, I didn't know. It was comes up later that I was breaking
Juan Samuel rookie record. Yeah.
Right. But here it is again. The opportunity presented itself. Being a student of the game, whether Tommy Herr was up, was a left-hander, who still with Jody Davis, the best catcher in baseball, I think, technique-wise. But scenario was that, you can't stop Vince Coleman. You can try to defuse him, and Willie knew that I was going. But the art of the fact that I went to third base and couldn't grip the base, so now I overslid it, and Ron Say has the ball. I can't come back to the base, so now I have to get in a rundown.
And he's a penguin.
Right. Short feet, short stride. So he got rid of it right away, and now the defensive flaw in that was that the pitcher was supposed to go home. He got caught up in the whole scenario and ended up at third base. He was
enjoying the show, probably. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you guys were putting on a show. Sanderson's like, look at these guys.
And once Willie get to third base and he see the umpires, the commotion, and he's like, oh, he takes off going. It was the funniest thing. You got to see it. But, but that was just our style of play.
Well, how did you guys set up the double steal, honestly? Was that a play where you look at Willie and go, all right, I'm going, or is he just watching you, and as soon as you go, he takes off? I'm kind of curious about that.
I was a mischievous kid growing up, So.
Growing up, yeah. You're almost 60 years.
I didn't have to give Willie a sign, Willie knew Vince is up to something, You got to be careful anytime I get on base. I remember getting in trouble for not going. And so, and this is another story that after my fourth year, I didn't take off on the first, second pitch like I normally, because they were slide stepping. You couldn't get jumps, And I go into San Diego. We're on the West Coast swing for 12 days, and we go into San Diego, and Whitey don't start me. Now, normally I come in the locker room. I don't have to look at the lineup. My name's there. Not unless I was hurt. And so I come in the locker room. For some reason, they say, well, you're not starting today. I'm like, Ozzie had to, because Ozzie knew. Ozzie didn't tell me. But I look at the scoreboard, the lineup card, I'm not in there. So, he's giving me a day off. I'm fourth year in the league, got my chest out, like I deserve a day off. Next day, I'm in the lineup. I'm like, okay, well, you got 2 days off. Third day, not in the lineup. 3 days in a row, and I'm healthy. I'm good to go. We come back home, go look at the lineup. I'm not in the lineup again. So now I was like, we got to go knock on the door. So I go to Whitey. Whitey, can I see you? Yeah, come in my office. So I go in his office. The first time Whitey ever cursed me out. You are the heart of this team. You're the heartbeat. We don't go now unless you go. You don't let anyone intimidate you. These guys in this locker room thrive off of you. Don't let no one tell you because they slide stepping that I care whether you get thrown out. Because if you don't go, possessed that you're not going, then that changed the whole chemistry of the game because they could throw more breaking balls. Now you get your ass out there, you start, you play tonight.
Change the lineup.
It changed the lineup.
Just wait for you to come, right?
Exactly. Yeah. That was the bait. Mm-hmm. Ozzie knew the whole time, but Ozzie never told me.
What a good friend.
What a great. But that was the thing that Whitey didn't care. He cared because he knew we were smart enough to figure it out. He didn't want them to know that they had tried to detail us from not keeping our offensive motivation going day in and day out. And, he was so right, so true, because now if you go into a ball game, they know you're not running, they can relax. We always want to keep them on their heels. Play a simple game of catch, but now they put a time limit on it. They're going to panic.
Mm-hmm. 1990, you is your last year here. Then the whole team pretty much dissolves. Willie goes, gets traded, and I've talked to you this a million times, but every time I think about it, it just makes me want to cry.
I know.
Terry leaves, he goes to Atlanta, and you go to the Mets, which
and for the fact that I'm gonna stop you right there. Everybody know that I left, and I go out here now, and I'm at this event where you see Red Shane Dean, you see Lou Brock, you see Bob Gibson, you see Ozzie Smith. That cost me my Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
be honest with you.
Right, and that's what you've said that before.
I would be in the Hall of Fame. And I look back on that right now. It's the worst mistake. Augie had died. Now Whitey felt that we wouldn't have a $50 million payroll to keep myself and John. Myself, Willie, Ken Daly, Terry Pendleton. Jack Clark was gone. Tommy Hurd was gone. So Whitey leaves.
We're all gone.
Everybody's gone. So the face of the team was going to be myself and Ozzie. And Ozzie told me, he said, Vince, you would never find what we have here in St. Louis if you go somewhere else. No. And the Mets came with a little bit more money. Not that the money meant anything. It was just the fact that I wanted to win. And I thought it was a chance to win with that pitching staff that the Mets had, with Doc Gooden, Cone, Viola, Ron Darling, Franco's closing, and I could be on a winning team. That's the only thing I envisioned, not knowing that the chemistry, the feel, the coming to the clubhouse was totally dismantled, disrupted, totally different. You didn't win a ball game. Their agendas was totally different. As a result, you finished in last place, and so did the Cardinals. The Cardinals didn't play well.
Well, I think the parallels are kind of crazy. How you guys were so good, and they fell apart basically the same way the Cardinals did. They lost. They let Dykstra go. They let McDowell go on a trade.
Strawberry leaves.
Strawberry goes to the Dodgers. Yeah, it's
right.
just literally when you think of the Mets, they had the same. They could have been great for 10 years, and then just sort of, Doc didn't do it. It couldn't be Doc. So it was hard to watch. What was your time like in New York? I know you had some interesting times up there, and you didn't really get to steal as much. And you said you didn't win, right?
I the first month I was leading the league in stolen bases, and we played a night game in Dodger Stadium, a night game in Dodgers, and then we flew back to New York to play a night game, but we didn't land until 11 o'clock that day. You go home, you try to get a little rest, and you go to the ballpark that night. I pull a hamstring. I never pulled a hamstring in my life. So now after like 3 weeks of being out, I'm trying to come back a little sore. But now I'm reading the paper. Well, he's over the hill. We pay him all this money to come here to be the catalyst. And so I'm going to try to get back out there. I re-injure my hamstring again. Went back on the DL. Now I'm trying to force myself. I'm a football player mentality. I could play with a little pain. I always play with pain. But it's a difference of being pain and hurt.
You were a punter, though, right? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
No, I was an All-American punter.
I know, 3 times, right? We've heard. I'm just kidding. No, I was going to ask, but yeah.
So, but I'll knock you out if you try to come around the code. I put ask Krukow. Only fight I've been in.
Oh, we got to talk about that. All right, bring it back up. Go ahead.
So, you made me lose my point.
I'm sorry. You were talking about you got injured and you couldn't come back.
So now I'm on the DL 3 times.
Yeah.
My first year. I'd never been injured. Had made me 25 stolen bases that year. So now the next year, 92, opening day was in St. Louis. I go to bunt. Osborne pitching. I'm running to first base. Pull my hamstring again. He breaks his ankle. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you recall this. I do. I go back on the DL again. And that snowballs year 2, 92. Okay. I'm back on the DL. Now the media is all killing me. Mm-hmm. I got lynched in the media just because I'm hurt. Anything that happened, I got the blunt to it. They say I hit Doc Gooden with a golf club. That never happened. They say I got called out on the 3rd strike one night, and Torborg, just didn't protect me. He comes out grabbing me and say, Whitey would have never done that. So a lot of things went on over there that really, really wasn't Vince Coleman, but being in an atmosphere that you're not familiar with, and the whole thing was just not right. Not right. And 93, unfortunately, the firecracker incident, where I never throw a firecracker at anybody, but that's the way the public perceived it. And so now I got to go and prove that I'm a good guy again, Never recovered.
What did you do with the firecracker? I never have asked, but how did that even come up? Where did anybody even, you know what I mean? I've never heard the story.
Sold them in the locker room for number one.
Okay.
The clubhouse guys sold them. We had them, and we shot them all the time. I grew up in Florida. Firecrackers wasn't no big law. Really? No, not like it was a bad thing to do. So,
trust me, St. Louis people love fireworks.
So we we was in L.A. The thing was that we was in L.A. and in California. There's a law against not having fireworks in the parking lot. Now, someone 50 yards away outside the gate and say that they was thrown at them after we leave the ballpark. We hear about this the next day. We're like, you can't believe this. So now some little Mexican kid had rubbed their face up against a fence or fell some asphalt or whatever. No medical reports ever been written. They just came out publicly and said it. Now I got to prove it wrong. Mm-hmm. But by this time, the public only sees that one little scripture saying that what had happened, right. Not the fact that I got to go through all these lawsuits. I get let go by the Mets. But the first person that called me when I was let go, the first person that called me was Whitey Herzog. Mm-hmm. He was the general manager of the California Angels. And he'd say, Vince, I know you as a person. If no one else wants you, you come play for me. While he was playing golf with George Brett in Kansas City, George Brett was working for Kansas City and overheard this conversation going on. They had Kevin McReynolds, who was making the same amount of money, and they made a trade with the Mets, Kansas City. That's how I ended up in Kansas City in 94. 94, I was having a great year. That was the first year of the strike. No World Series that year, remember?
Yep.
So now my 4-year contract is up. 95 comes in. Great year. Hitting 300. 35 stolen bases, all-star break, and get released because they're bringing up Johnny Damien. I leave from there the next day and go over to Kansas City. I'm sorry. I go over to Seattle.
Oh, Seattle. 95, yeah. Big year.
Big year.
Yeah.
I go over there and set the world on fire. I'm back on turf. You know, I got batting behind Edgar Martinez, Tino Martinez, Ken Griffey Jr., Jay Buhner. I'm on fire. Lou Piniella is my manager. It's like being a rookie again. And that was a great year for me. And now Vince Coleman is back. You know, the Vince Coleman that I knew from 10 years ago, 85, now it's 95, but I'm feeling good, playing good. And that's the first time I felt good in a long time of playing because, you know, I knew the type of player I was, but you just went through that period of the 91, 92, 93 in New York that really curtailed my whole career.
Yeah, I forgot that you had all the injuries. I remember a walk-off against Mike Perez I wasn't real happy about, that you hit a home run. You hit
Perez.
A couple more minutes if you have them. You did mention the Krukow thing, and I heard someone tell the story that you said in the dugout that night, we're going to brawl with the Giants. This is the 1986 brawl. Was it? You knew they were coming after you. Like that they were throwing. I know Frank Williams threw at your legs twice, right?
Yeah.
But did you not call? You said we're going to brawl tonight with these guys. I thought that's what I heard.
Maybe I have. Well, we was always in a competitive mode because they had a great team. They had Chili Davis, Candy Maldonado, Will Clark, Matt Williams, Jeffrey Leonard. You know, so they had a big home run hitting team. So, but you know our team, how it was made up of. It was just speed. I had 5 stolen bases in 5 innings. You know, I stole second, stole third, stole second, stole third. Next time up, scores 5-0. We winning. Okay, I'm up. Roger Craig gets up on the top of the step and hit him to this guy. First when he throws behind me, hit him. Roger Craig, you just can't be that blunt about it. He hits me, throws the pitcher out of the game. Roger Craig comes to the home plate umpire and says, why'd you throw him out of the game? You know, well, Roger Craig, come on now. You standing up top of the steps, you know. In the meantime, he points in our dugout to Whitey. You shouldn't be letting your players run. So Whitey runs out and says, you got all these home runs. Whitey gives the best arguments whatsoever. You know, so you talk about your mama, your daddy, your grandma. Tell you how horseshit you are. Excuse me.
It was all cable, whatever.
Yeah. So, in the meantime, I want to hear this argument. The whole team is around Whitey, and they're bumping chest, titties. Krukow comes up, say, Coleman, and he didn't know I had a football mentality.
We thought you were a punter.
Yeah, right. But I told you, if you get out of line, I'm going to tackle you. And he did. And I picked him up and dumped him and cracked his sternum. And that was the only fight. And then, you know, everything broke loose. And so from then on, everything was like Giants hate the Cardinals. Cardinals hate the Giants. Now we go to the playoffs that year, you know. And also during that year was the fight with maybe that was the next year.
Was Ozzie Oquendo, Will Clark. A classic.
Right.
A classic.
Yeah, you got to look that up on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but that was some fun times. I mean, those moments, you know, that you won't forget, they stand out as monumental and, you know, things you feel like it would just happen yesterday, you know. So when I come back here to St. Louis now, it's like, oh, my God, you're at home. You know people have your back. They love you. And, you know, it's nothing like this in the world, that you have the fanfare, the fans is so great here. They're so outstanding, you know, and it's a blessing to be back.
I have one last question. I didn't want to ask, but we always have to talk about the tarp. I don't know why. I just have to, because the last time we talked about it, and you said something that I couldn't believe. You said, I thought I was going to die. And I think, I don't know if you remember saying that or if that's really how you felt. Maybe you're just helping me out with a great interview quote. But, you know, we've all heard, and you said it it just started rolling, and you didn't see it, and you guys were out there. But tell me a little bit.
I've been asked that question a million times.
A million and one.
I don't answer the same way, but I'm gonna give you the honest truth, good one right now.
Thank you.
The funniest part about it is that after it all happened, I'm sitting in the training room, and all my teammates came in because they were so concerned, and they all was like, "You okay?" And Whitey told me to stand up, but I couldn't put any pressure on because I didn't feel at the time it was just pain, but I played with pain before. Whitey, you can't run because I cracked my tibia, but we didn't know at the time it was cracked. But all the guys came in, "How you doing? How you doing?" And you had to know Bobby Force, to appreciate. And he was like, "Hey Vince, you were scared, wasn't you?" I said, "Yes, I was scared." He said, "The reason I know you were scared because I've never seen a black guy turn white."
That's Bob Force, folks. That's exactly right.
But when I was up underneath that tarp, and when they say that when you in fear of your life, you don't feel a thing, it was a ton on top of me. Completely stopped, still. All I could visualize is this thing rolling over me, dying, and I didn't feel it. But when they stopped it to re-roll it back off of me, that's when I felt the pain. And just like you and I sitting here talking, Terry Pillman and I were standing on the first base line, inside of the line, and it was controlled by a man running the machine down in the right field in a trolley, and he came out rolling it, and it grabbed my foot. And everybody said, "Well, did you see it?" If I'd have seen it, I'd have ran away from it. Did you hear it? If I'd have heard it, I mean, come on.
Fastest man alive gets hit by a 2-mile-an-hour tarp.
No, I didn't see it. Of course, it knocks me down, and that was one of the most. And you got to hear Willie tell a story because Willie was like, "Man, you were screaming like a woman." And say you was, and I thought I was gonna die. I mean, because that's all the thing. And I went home that night, and I couldn't sleep that night. And I'm living with Willie, and I said, "Willie, come check on me every now and then." But he didn't have to go check. I was letting him know because I couldn't sleep. I couldn't, because the only thing you can visualize is that thing re-rolled. Sometimes I still think about it from time to time. But only thing it cost me was that I couldn't play for doing that period. We lose to the Kansas City Royals. They were so comfortable and relaxed because I wasn't in the lineup. We didn't have the same chemistry by me being up. But still, we was up 3-1. Still should have won. The bad call by Dinkinger, kind of cost us and hurt us too. It was a big ordeal. But, I know some misunfortunate things that happened, and that just happened to be one of many.
Yeah, I hate ending on a downer, so I will say, if you go to YouTube, there's a wonderful clip of you after the team clinches in 1987. I don't know if you've seen this. Maybe some
best team in the world.
Best
team
we had
in
an
the world.
all-star at every position. Jack Clark.
Yeah, with Art Holiday.
Yes.
Yes. I've been brought up. Kids bring that to me. My kids today bring it to me. Daddy, you was drinking champagne. I said I was celebrating. I wasn't drinking. I was just shoving it at everybody. Yeah, but all of a sudden, it wasn't like you was drunk anymore. You asked you a question, you gave an intelligent answer.
Yeah, and then you just go into Vince Coleman. We've got a good team and a great ball club, and we hope we can win.
Man, that was so much fun. Much fun.
Like I said, it is always, I love seeing you guys, you and Ozzie and Willie and Lou's here. It's always fun, and hopefully we'll see you in a Cardinal uniform, maybe coaching these guys up how to run. You never know.
That's the ultimate goal right now. I mean, believe it or not, it's on the plate right now. We're in the midst of talking about it. I wish that I can say it's etched in stone. It's not, but it's in the fire right now, and I'm promoting it, pushing for it. I mean, nothing better to come back home and be a part, and just to give them some knowledge, because I feel with knowledge you're going to build a confidence, and with confidence you play fast, and when you play fast, you kick ass.
And you said home. I love that you said the home, because you don't live here, you're not from here, but you said home. I mean, that's what it means, and that's what it means for us to see you here. Seriously.
Yeah, it's always, no matter where I go, I'm identified as a St. Louis Cardinal, which is rightfully so. And when I come back here, they show me that love, and I know it's all from the heart.
Yep. Well, Vince Coleman, we appreciate your time. We'll do this again. Maybe it's spring training. You'll be coaching them up, and we'll see you down there in
I
Jupiter.
look forward to it. Hope so. Thank you.
All right. It's Baseball and Beyond presented by Masses Restaurants. That's Vince Coleman. We thank you very much. Continue listening by subscribing on iTunes and follow me on Twitter @Brad Straubinger. Thanks.